Good evening, viewers. On this wonderful evening of Friday, the 13th, I am glad to meet you all on this live event. That's Books Friends Forever Edition 2, hosted by MyBeeClub Prime. Talking about books, I get nostalgic. Back then, when we were young, we had less TV shows, no binge watching of apps, Netflix. So what do? We always looked up to books as our best companions. I remember I spent 2 full days just doing nothing but reading books because I wanted to know what was the end. So imagine the amount of time we spent with books. So books, any genre you take, fiction, fantasy, philosophy, name any genre, you have innumerable books in all of them. So wondering if you are a bibliobibuli or a bibliophagist. What is that? Bibliobibuli, who read too much, and bibliophagist, a person who loves to read books. So if you can relate to that, you can wonder like if you are a bibliophagist. Aren't these words very interesting? Right. So thanks for joining us. And if you haven't subscribed yet, do subscribe to our channel right away and stay tuned till the end because we have a lot of interesting things coming up. So hit the subscribe button right now. Inculcating a reading habit among young children comes a long way, and it makes a great impact in their life. Storybooks is a great way to start. Our young children of MyBeeClub Prime, the readers of between the age group of, say, 5 to 8 years, are here today to share a few of the stories that they have read and learned from. I'm sure you all will have something very interesting to take away from the show today. So stay tuned till the end and subscribe to our channel to encourage our little children. So first we have Tarunika, who is going to share a story about unity. And that's a very important one which we need in every community. So here is up to Tarunika.
Good evening, all. My name is Yetenka. Today, I'm going to tell a story about unity is strength. Once upon a time, there was a folk of stars that flew in search of led by a king. They found some rice under the banyan tree. So all the dogs landed and began to eat. Suddenly, a big net fell over them and the ark track. Big hunters walking towards them. A king had an idea. A king said, all the dogs flew off together, carrying the net. He said there was strength in unity. All the dogs flew off together, carrying the net. The hunter looked up with a surprise. All the house ran to temper with a little mouse helped them and set them free. So all the house stacked a mouse and flew off together. Part of a story is when you work together, you are stronger. Thank you.
Thank you, Tarunika. It was indeed a nice little story to talk about unity. Storybooks teach children a lot of values and lessons. To reap the best benefit of reading for children, they need to pick a wide range of topic genres like family tales, fairy tales, self help books. And we know so many authors of children's books like Enid Blyton, Aesop's Fables, and our own Panchatantram. So we have much more books for children, and we should get started early. So let's hear it from Diksha from UKG. What story is she going to share?
Greetings. Good evening, friends. My name is Diksha. I am studying UKG. I am going to tell a story. One day, dog was passing by a river. He had a juicy bone in his mouth. He looked into the water, saw his own face in it, thinking it was another duck with a bone. He bought that one too. He opened his mouth to bark. Bow, bow. One fell into the water. There was love for the hungry dog. The moral of the story is don't be greedy. Be happy with what you have. Thank you.
Thank you, Diksha. That was a sweet little story from you and a moral which everybody should learn. Don't be greedy, just be happy with what you have. And coming to books, one important benefit of reading is it makes you empathetic. You relate to others' feelings better. It helps the readers to understand what others are thinking when we know other people's emotions. So we have to read books, even from early age, to be empathetic. So next we have Kansal sharing a very interesting story which most of us have heard. Kansal.
Good evening, ma'am. Story name is a woodcutter had two children named Ansel and Richard. One day, the stepmom left the children deep into the forest. Clever Ansel brought the brethren on their way. Alas, birds ate all the brethren. They were hungry and tired. Finally, after walking for a long time, they saw a cottage made of chocolate, candies, and cake. It was a wicked witch cottage. Then she saw Hansel and Gretel. She wanted to eat them. She locked them in a cage. She decided to make a soup out of Hansel and make them first. She began boiling a huge pot of water for the soup. Just then, the secret out of the cage gave it wicked witch a push from the weekend. Wicked witch fell into the boiling water. Hansel and Gretel found fish lying around the wood. He carried it home. The father was happy. They never went hungry again. Thank you.
Thank you, Kansal. We all have heard this story numerous times, but still, it always feels good to hear a known story and revisit its values. So, you might have experienced deja vu, but have you experienced deja vu? Now, what's that? Let me explain to you after we hear from Gabrin. So, we have Gabrin sharing a story.
Once upon a time, there was a salt merchant. He sold salt in the nearby towns with the help of his donkey. The donkey was too lazy. One day, Jack and his donkey went to sell salt in the nearby towns. They reached the river. That day, the level of water was so high. The donkey slipped and fell into the water. Whoa, the salt in the candy bags melted and they went back home. The donkey was so happy. He didn't have work. The next day, the dog purposefully jumped into the water so that the salt would melt. He did the same on the third day and the fourth day. The merchant observed the donkey's behavior and he thought of teaching him a lesson, and he kept cotton wool instead of salt. The next day, the donkey jumped into the water like before. The cotton absorbed the water and grew heavy. The donkey was not able to stand. He realized that he should not be lazy. That day onwards, he remained obedient to the merchant. Moral: with honesty and sincerity, don't cheat others. Thank you.
Thank you, Gabriel. I really appreciate you being sick, but you have really put in this effort to be live today. You are really awesome. We are so proud of you. So thank you, Gabriel, for coming up with this nice story to remind us we shouldn't be lazy. So coming back to page vu, what is that? So page vu means the experience of reading something like on a page or a website that you have not read before, but you feel that you have already read. So that feeling is called page vu. So isn't it interesting? I want to share something else too. But before that, let's hear it from Hanish. He has a very interesting story of a tree with needles.
Good evening, friends. My name is Anish. I'm going to tell a story. The story name is The Needle Tree. Once there were two brothers lived at the forest. The older brother was honest and kind. The older brother took all younger brother's food and good clothes. One day, the older brother went into the forest to search for firewood to sell in the market. As he walked through from the forest, he cut off branches of every tree. He came up a magical tree. The tree stops him before he cut his branches and said, "Oh, kind sir, please spare my branches. If you spare me, I will give a golden apples." The older brother agreed, but he felt sad because of the tree gives him few apples. Overcome by greed, the older brother threatened to cut the entire tree. And the magical tree got hungry and he showered him hundred of tiny needles. The older brother fell to the ground in crying in pain. Soon the younger brother came in search of his older brother. He found him the trunk of tree, and he runs to him and started remove the needles. When the needles are removed, the older brother apologized to treating him so badly. The magical tree saw changes in older brother's heart, and he gifted him all golden apples. The model. If it is important to be kind, always rewarded. Thank you.
Thank you, Hanish, for reiterating being kind is important more than being right. So always be kind to others and be empathetic. So, what were we talking about books? Yes, we all are very busy these days in our daily hustles, and we hardly find time to read. We'd get stressed with so many of our daily activities. But you know one thing? Reading reduces stress. If you want to calm down, bring some peace to your mind, you should read. The study shows that close to 30 minutes of reading every day lowers your blood pressure, heart rate, and feelings of physical and emotional distress too. So, why don't we just start reading? Just 30 minutes a day. Isn't it? It's really not difficult, right? So, coming up next, we have Alfred. He has an interesting thing to say. Why did camels get humped? Alfred.
Good evening, friends. When the animal just started to work for human beings, there was a camel. He ate, slept, and was not interested to work. Whenever anyone spoke to him, he would say, "Hump." On a Monday morning, the horse went to him. He told him to sprint with it, but the camel, as usual, hump. After some time, a dog came to the camel and asked him to work. But the camel again said, "Hump." The jinn found the camel in the desert, where he was looking at his reflection in the water. He asked the camel to work, but the camel said, "Hump." When the camel said this, he got a hump on his back. From that day, the camel has a hump, but still it has not learned to behave. Thank you.
Thank you, Alfred. That was a very different story to understand why camels have hump. So don't be again lazy and say hump. You might too get a hump. Like the famous quote says, an hour spent reading is 1 hour stolen from paradise. No matter how busy you are, you must find time for reading and surrender yourself to the self chosen ignorance. This was said by Confucius. So, why don't you give your children a few hours of paradise through books? So, coming up next, we have our little Vihana from UKG giving us a very interesting story about a glass of milk.
Good evening, friends. My name is Krishna. I'm studying in UKG. I'm going to tell a story name is A Glass of Milk. Once there was a poor boy selling newspaper door to door. When he was walking, he felt tired and weak. He decided to ask for food. Gate to next door, knock on the door. He got when I have glass of water. In poor condition, the girl came back with a glass of milk. He thought how much they need to pay. The girl rescued her money. Many years later, she got sick. He decided to he got a many doctor, no one cured her. Why he got the best doctor in the town? Doctor was spending many days to cure her. Finally, he got cured. Her happiness, but he was so sure about it. When the doctor gave the big decision, paid with in full with a glass of milk. The moral of the story is no good deed goes to unrewarded. Thank you.
Thank you, Vihana. This is yet another story which says that being kind again comes back to you. So all the good deeds you do comes back to you. So thank you, Vihana. There is one another thing about reading. It doesn't just reduce stress, it also makes you boost your creativity and also your flexibility of thoughts. So when we read fictions, we practice keeping our minds open to new ideas and uncertainties. So that is why reading fictions and other fantasy stories helps us open up to new perspectives and ideas. So reading does help. Next, we have Kevin talking about being silly and wise. How's that? Kevin.
Good evening, friends. The silly and the wise. It is a awesome mother. A hungry wolf would not get any prey. At last, he saw a goat grazing. The silly wolf was so happy that he started to snarl before he ran on the goat. The snarl had alerted the goat, and as the wolf sprang, the goat began to run. The wolf started chasing the goat. Both began to run with the full might. The goat ran on top of the rock, and the wolf was below the rock. The goat said, "You silly wolf, stop chasing me. You just open your mouth and will jump into it." The silly wolf opened his mouth wide open. The goat jumped it up, not in the wolf's mouth, but on the wolf's head. The wolf got crashed. Thank you.
Thank you, Kevin. So that reminds us that sometimes, even though we act silly, we are wise. So that was an interesting story. And there's something which I was spellbound after reading a book. Yes, you heard me right. I was smellbound. Smellbound? What does that mean? It's the captivating smells of the book. So I'm sure if you are a vivid reader, you might enjoy the book of smells. Old books, new books. What about an experience in a library and the smell of freshly printed books? So you might be smell-bound too. Next, we have Yarani, Inba Yarani. Again, talking about two goats. What's that?
Good evening, everyone. I am Inbayarani. I am going to talk about two goats. Two goats tried to cross the bridge. It was so narrow that only one goat can cross the bridge at a time. So they got into an argument about who should go first. That led it to physical fight. So the two goats fell into the river and drowned. A while later, two more goats came in the same position. They saw themselves in the same position. However, this time they realized fighting will end in a disaster. So the one goat lays down when the other goat walks over him. So the two goats cross the river safely. Thank you.
Thank you, Inbayarani. Yes, we have to be sometimes wise and let go of fighting to be safe. So, very nice story. Thank you. One other important reason why you all should read, and this is surely going to be an important reason. You know why? It boosts the power of your brain. Reading regularly keeps and improves your memory function. And as we get old, there are chances that our brain functions reduces. But reading is the best exercise for brain, and it even reduces Alzheimer's. So reading keeps your brain active. So if you want to be active, keep reading. Next, we have Saharsha talking about the seven wonders. But are these something different? Saharsha, please tell us.
Hello everyone, good evening. This is Anna, a 9-year-old girl from a small village. She joined a new school in the nearby city. At their school, other children looked at Anna and started laughing. The teacher came and asked them to be quiet. Teacher introduced Anna to the class. Teacher said she will study with us from today. Teacher started the class. She said, write 7 wonders of the world. We wrote quickly. Anna is thinking, there's so many wonders which I came. Said, what happened here? There's so many wonders. Which one you choose? Teacher said, don't worry, dear. Write what you know. Everybody give their answer paper. Everybody wrote 7 wonders of the world. So the teacher took Anna's paper and graded for them. 7 wonders are able to see, able to think, able to feel, able to laugh, able to be kind, and love. Everyone was speechless. In a small village, from a girl from a small village, reminded them the 4 limits. Were wonders. So what we learn from this? We always value what we have and trust what we have. Thank you and have a nice day.
Thank you, Saharsha, for reiterating that the 7 wonders are not outside but within us. Books act as a getaway for different world, alternate universe, or fantastical places. They help readers visualize what they can never see or even imagined that they would see. So we have Taran Sai, who is going to take us to a whole new magical land. Taran.
Good evening, friends. The faraway land, poor boy named Jack decided to sell his cow for some money. On the way to the market, he met a strange traveler who wanted to buy his cow for some magical beans. Curious Jack sold the cow to the traveler. The next morning, outside the window grew the world's biggest beanstalk. Jack climbed on and reached a strange land with a large castle at the distance. Jack saw a huge giant sleeping inside and found a lot of treasure in the castle. He decided to take some back with him. The giant woke up and saw Jack. He chased him, but Jack slipped down the beanstalk and cut it after getting down. The giant fell down. Jack and his mother lived happily. Thank you.
Thank you, Taran. And it is indeed to imagine wonderful magical lands which we would never see in reality. So we saw a lot of things about reading, right? So it improves creativity, it helps you boost your memory power, it makes you empathetic. So how many of you are libro-cubiculturist? I'll say that again. Libro-cubiculturist. Okay, that's like a tongue twister. But how many of you are that? I am one of them. So wondering what that is? I will tell you about it. If you are a logophile, you would know what I'm saying. Oops. That's again something you don't understand. I will tell what that is right after we hear from Sirish. So we have Sirish telling a story.
Good evening, friends. Once a hungry wolf was eating his prey. He followed a big bite of flesh, but the bone was stuck in the throat. It hurt him very much. So he decided to go to a crane to get help from him. He said, "Well, dear friend, I am a great trouble. Please pick out the bone in my throat." The crane was very afraid to put the shade in wolf mouth, but the wolf assured for safety and a big reward for the service. At last, the crane, to do the needful, he put long pig in wolf's throat and pull out the bone in the throat. The wolf was very happy now. The crane demanded the promised reward for the service. The wolf once said, "Isn't a big reward that I not bite off your head when you could not escape from my teeth?" The crane was half away disappointedly. Thank you.
Thank you, Sirish. Though it was a disappointment for the crane that Wolf didn't give him any reward, but avoiding a disaster is equivalent to a blessing. So I think he got his big reward. So coming back to, are you a libro-cubic culturist? I am. So what does that mean? Someone who prefers reading in the bed. So I prefer reading in the bed. So are you one too? And logophile, if you are a lover of learning new words, you are called a logophile. So isn't it again interesting? And by the way, if you have not subscribed to our channel yet, please encourage our little ones by hitting the subscribe button right now. And thank you. Next, we have Chandana, who is going to tell us an interesting Birbal story. And we all love Birbal stories.
Hi everyone. My name is Sri Chandana. I'm going to telling a story. Birbal, farmer and well. One day, a farmer was looking for a water source for his farm, so he bought a well for his neighbor. The neighbor was cunning. The next day, farmer came to draw water from his well. The neighbor refused. "Don't take any water." The farmer asked why. I sold only the well, not the water. And walked away. The farmer was disappointed. Go to Birbal for his help. Birbal called the neighbor to the court and questioned, "Why don't you give the water to the farmer?" "I sold only the well, not the water." Birbal said, "Look, you have no right to keep in the water inside the well. You pay rent to the farmer. His plan has failed." The neighbor apologized and went to home. Model: if you cheat, you will pay soon enough. Thank you.
Thank you, Chandana. That was a cute storytelling with your accent. And we all love Birbal stories because it is witty and makes us think. So, Gopal Lahiri once said, "That's the thing about books. They let you travel without moving your feet." Isn't it true? Reading books enables us for a lifelong learning, an unquenchable thirst for knowledge. You would be a better problem solver, better conversationalist, and a quick thinker. So, reading is always good. If you have not started reading lately, maybe you should think about starting it again. So, while you're thinking, let's hear it from Lakshit.
I am Lakshit. I am going to say about unity. And an old man lived with his 3 sons in a village. The 3 sons were hard workers. Still, they quarreled all the time. The old man tried to unite them, but he failed. The old man called his 3 sons and said, "Dear sons, I will give you a bundle of sticks. You will have to break the sticks as a bundle, not as separate sticks." The sons agreed and trying to break the bundle of sticks. Though they tried their best, they could not break the bundle. The old man replied, "Dear, see, you cannot break the bundle. If you be united, nobody can do any harm to you. If you quarrel with your brothers, anyone can easily defeat you. I request you to stay united." Thank you.
Thank you, Lakshit. So, like Tarunika, again, Lakshit has to talk about unity and why it is important to be united. So, have you thought about what you're going to start reading soon? So, if you're pressed out of time, but you want to still start reading, devote few minutes every day during doing a daily blog of the niche which you like. Or if you want to just escape out of this world, try fantasy, historical fictions that take you to all new world and surroundings altogether. Just get started with anything which you can get your hands on. So pick it today and start reading. So next we have Dia with yet another Birbal story, which always makes us think, right? So Dia.
Good evening, teachers and my dear friends. My name is Dia. On a cold winter day, Akbar and Birbal walked nearby the lake. A thought came to Birbal that a man would do anything for money. He expressed his thought to Akbar. Akbar said, "I don't think so, that a man would stay whole night in the cold water for money." Birbal said, "I'll find such a person and bring in front of you." Akbar said, "If you found such a person, I'll reward that person with 1,000 gold coins." Akbar found a poor man who in need of money. The poor man also accepted the challenge. The poor man started entering the cold water. The king gods are watching the poor man whole night. Next morning, the king gods took the poor man to the king. The king asked, "How did you spend the whole night in the cold water?" The poor man answered, "There was a street lamp. I concentrated on the street lamp. Then I did not feel the coldness." The king said, "I will not give you the reward because you got the heat from the street lamp." The poor man asked help to Birbal. The next morning, the Birbal did not go to the court. The court messengers said, "The Birbal will come when his porridge was cooked. The king waited for a long time, but the Beerball did not come to the court. The king decided to go to the Beerball's house. The Beerball was sitting on the floor nearby the burning fire. The porridge pot is hanging 5 feet above the burning fire. The king and his guards laughed at the Beerball. The king asked, "How did the porridge well cook? The fire is here, and the porridge pot was hanging 5 feet above the fire." Beerball answered, "The same way that the poor man got, the same thing my porridge will cook." The king understood his mistake. The king rewarded the 1,000 gold coins to the poor man. Moral: a small hope is enough for a person who works hard to turn his dream into reality. Thank you.
Thank you, Dia. That was a very powerful story and a message. So, if you have the slightest of spark and motivation to do the things, nobody can stop you. So, coming back to your decision on reading, so have you decided how you want to read? You can take your preference, whether it's a book or online, because now online reading is more popular than hard copies. But I will tell you, if you are a bookerazi, you would take a printed one. Bookerazi? Who is that? Bookerazi is somebody who excitedly takes photos of the pages of the book and posts it online. So I see a lot of people doing that. So I'm sure they're all bookerazis. So pick your hard copy if you're a bookerazi, or just go online and read the things that you like. So next we have Uttamesh, who is going to look very different right in his character. Uttamesh.
My name is Uttamesh. I'm studying in 3L. And my school name is SBOA. I talk about King Midas and his golden touch. Thus a Greek king was known for his greed and kindness. Was kind deed, he granted a wish. He wished all he touched must turn into gold. He touched the apple tree, he turned into gold. His food also turned into gold. He was very starved. He thought a king hugged him, he also turned into gold. In no time, he realized a biggest ever flaw and begged the wise God to take back my wish. The wise God told to King Midas, he dipped in the pond of palace, sprinkled the doors who are changed, sprinkled water, soon he got the marigold, he back to normal. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, Uttamesh. You truly look like King Midas with the golden touch. So, aren't our little readers today awesome because they took all this effort to be right in front of you live on YouTube? As adults, we would also think if we should go live, but they have made us all proud by being live today with their little storytelling skills. So coming back to your decision on reading, are you taking a printed book or online? I will tell you a reason why you should take a printed book. Studies have shown that repeatedly people who do book reading or reading with content of printed book, they actually have better comprehension and remember things that they have read than the people who read online. So that's a better reason why you should choose a printed book. So considering all these benefits of reading and books, and if we don't, why don't we call it our best friends? They will always remain with us throughout our lives. As we develop the habit of reading at a very young age, it really helps the children develop the skills that all I mentioned earlier and be a better personality in the future. So if you want your children to be, bibliophagist, start early. So age of 3 to 6 is the right age to introduce books. Do read together with them. Bedtime stories, make them sit on the lap and read books for them. Slowly, they themselves will start reading. So can you take a step today to give them a great foundation and exposure to books and reading, which is going to help them a long way. If you have not started yet, no worries. Today is also a good day to start. So hope you all enjoyed this wonderful session with all our tiny storytellers who have presented different stories. And if you haven't subscribed or liked our channel yet, this is the time to hit the subscribe button and encourage our little readers and storytellers. Thank you for giving your time today for us and our children. That makes us very happy and grateful for you all. And let's catch up very soon on our next event. And considering this is a long holiday of Harvest Festival, wishing you all a very nice weekend and Harvest Festival. Thank you, viewers, and continue reading and relive your love for books. See you all soon.